What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and we have another Coffee Talk Friday. So, today I wanted to really quick talk about more like nutrition stuff today and figuring out where you need to be as we're going into summer. We're in May now. So, you're probably like, we have summer vacation coming up, and maybe you haven't prepared yet. So, before we jump into anything like that, just a reminder, please rate the show, give it 5 stars, like it, whatever, leave a review, whatever it is on the platform you are listening, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or Amazon, any of the other platforms. Make sure take 2 seconds, as that helps the show get pushed out to more people. We also have free stuff down below. There's a Mastering Your Macros guide, which might be helpful to you after today's podcast. That is free, and then there's also one-on-one coaching if you're like, oh shit, it's time for summer. Anyways, getting into today's talk, summer is essentially here. So if you've been a long time listener, you should know that any of your fat loss goals is going to take at least 90 days, probably longer, probably more like 6 months to a year, depending on how much weight you need to lose. So we want to come up with a plan. If you're motivated now, that's realistic, and set a realistic goal going into summer. Maybe you've fallen off a little bit and you're not where you want to be. Maybe you have never had the motivation to start and you're like, oh shit, it's time to start dieting. That's fine. That's valid. We all feel like that. But what we don't want to do is go in and do something unsustainable where we're going to lose weight and then regain weight. We don't have a weight loss problem in America. I know that sounds really weird. We have a weight regain problem. Everybody can lose weight. You've done it probably. If you're listening and you've been chronically dieting, you've been on and off dieting for a while, you know how to lose weight. The problem is you don't know how to keep it off, and you keep regaining. Every time you lose 10, you gain 12. That's not bad one time, but every time you do it, next thing you know, after a decade, that's 40 pounds additional. Fuck. If you do it twice a year, if it's once a year, it's 20 pounds. But if you diet twice a year, lose 10, gain 12, well, guess what? After a decade, that's going to be 40 pounds. So, we want to come up with some sort of plan or idea, something to allow you to lose the weight without being so restrictive that as soon as you're done, you're going to fall off and regain it all back. So we don't want to make impulsive decisions. Like you step on the scale and you see it and all of a sudden like, oh, well, I'm going to cut out all sugar, all dairy, everything and just eat like salads and chicken for the next like 3 months. Like terrible idea because you're not going to follow through on it. You already know that. So instead, we want to figure out, okay, I didn't start when I wanted to. Probably not going to be exactly where my goal is by the time I reach my vacation or the start of summer, whatever it is. So we want to instead set a realistic goal and start now so that we can be done. And then next summer, we don't have to have this discussion at all. So in the next 30 days. So if we're saying like June 1st is like, okay, the start of summer, I need to lose weight now. Well, this is coming out on the 3rd of May. So we have less than 30 days to do that. So in that time frame, what's realistic is going to be, unless you have a ton of weight to lose, somewhere between 2 and 5 pounds of body fat, not just scale weight. We're talking body fat, and that's important. You can go and do keto, but you're going to lose nothing but water weight. Or we can do a detox, and again, you're going to lose nothing but water weight, and the scale's going to go down, and you're going to look the fucking same. Like maybe you lose some inflammation and some puffiness, but you haven't actually lost body fat, and you probably lost just water weight. And if you continue, probably some muscle mass. So you're going to come out after a week or two looking worse. And then you try to redo it again. It doesn't work as well. And we know that drill. So pure body fat, which will give you a visual change, 2 to 5 pounds. If you have a significant amount of weight to lose, it's not unheard of if you lose 10 pounds in that first month. Part of that's going to be water weight. That first month, generally, we're going to lose more weight. So that's going to be now. We don't want to do anything drastic. We just want to start by making simple habits and looking at nutrition as, instead of I need to cut these foods out, I need to do these things, instead of making swaps or adjustments or adjusting portion sizes. So I um, told a client this week, she's like, okay, I have lower calories now to get the scale moving again. She's been in a little bit of plateau. So to get moving, we reduce calories. Okay. So to get things moving in the right direction, what foods do I need to cut out and what foods should I be eating? It's like, no, let's swap the foods. For example, we don't need to get rid of potatoes, but maybe instead of roasted potatoes, we're going to do boiled potatoes, and then we can turn those into like healthier mashed potatoes. We're going to try not to reduce so much of the water in that, and we're going to try to add water. So instead of white pasta, which is low in fiber, we're going to do whole wheat pasta, which is higher in fiber. With potatoes, boiled potatoes are the highest on the satiety index. Basically, tells you how filling a food is. Boiled potatoes are number one. Guess what? It's great when you're dieting and you're hungry, especially if you get hunger at night. But if you look at potato chips, they're very, very low. If you look at French fries, they're low. Why? They're fried, there's salt, there's fat, it makes them more palatable, therefore less filling. And you've reduced water content. So the calories have become more dense per volume. I don't want to get too sciencey there. I'm like looking for the right words, but basically in less space, there's more calories versus boiled potatoes. You've added water. So now it becomes even more filling. It's heavier. It sits in your stomach and it's like, oh crap, that's a lot of food in here. Same thing goes with our proteins, chicken breast, lean cuts of beef, white fish. These are all going to be higher in the satiety index than something like what's lower is going to be fatty steaks. Like I love a good ribeye, but if I tell someone eat 1 pound of chicken breast, you might be able to do it, but it's going to be a struggle. If I tell you eat a pound of a ribeye, like most people can easily do that. Why? It's way less filling. There's more calories there. So it's funny. There's less calories in the chicken. You're less likely to eat all of that because the body's like, well, I got enough protein. There's not really fat or carbs coming in. Like we don't need more of that. We need to get other things. Versus steak is like, keep this. There's a ton of fat here. There's salt. It tastes good. Like keep this coming. We're going to eat more and more and more. So we want to kind of make swaps, and you can look this up. It's the satiety index, and just they use white bread as like the 100 mark. Like that is what everything's compared to. So anything that's very refined, very high in fat, say like croissants, are actually much lower than white bread. They're way less filling. If you've ever had, I don't know anyone who's been like full after a croissant. I know I've never been, but same amount of calories in boiled potatoes, that's going to sit in your stomach. So you can use that to make swaps with your diet instead of, oh, we need to cut out everything. Instead, we're going to eat most of our diet, things that are higher on the satiety index. Generally, so everything's like percent based. Like if white bread's 100, like something that's 150 is like 50% more filling than white bread. So like potatoes are like 312%. A bunch of the lean proteins are in like the 200. So we're going to try to eat mostly that stuff 80 to 90% of the time. It's not really changing too much. For example, if you do spaghetti and meatballs every Monday, that's pasta night, or maybe it's Thursday, whatever day it is. We're going to do that. We are going to have pasta every single week. Okay. Well, instead of what we normally do with white pasta, we're just going to swap that for a brown pasta, or a whole grain pasta, I should say. That's going to give you more fiber. It's going to be more filling. You're less likely to overeat. On top of that, we're going to try to do lean ground beef in there, or lean turkey, lean chicken, Italian chicken sausage, instead of something fatty like fatty pork Italian sausage, or fatty cuts or fatty like 80-20 ground beef. We're going to go with leaner protein. And then with that dish, we're going to summer, so we're going to throw in some fresh veggies. So we've been doing like peas and asparagus in the pasta, instead of like heavy dishes, as we go into summer. So It's the same thing. It's just slightly different. And maybe you're like, no, it's spaghetti and meatballs. Well, okay. So we're going to do leaner meatballs. We're still going to do spaghetti, but it's going to be whole grain. And if people complain, guess what? The pasta sauce is made separate. So what you can do is cook 2 batches of pasta, which isn't that difficult. Most stoves have 4 burners on them. So you're going to boil 2 pots of water. You're going to do one with brown pasta, one with the regular pasta, and call it a day. If you're like, that's going to take too long because the burners are all different sizes, cool. So, your family might eat just the white pasta, just the regular pasta. You're going to do the big pot in that, the 3/4, however much water you need. You're going to boil all that. Then you're going to just do a serving size of the brown pasta. It's 2 ounces or 70 grams or something like that. Just look at the back. You can adjust if you need less or more, depending on your macro goals. And then you're like, okay, so there's 6 servings in here. We need X amount of water. So yes, it's a little bit of work up front. But once you have this down, like you'll know, okay, we need 3 cups of water in this. I'm going to throw this in. It's going to boil much faster and be done sooner. Okay, great. We're going to do that. Make your single serving. That pasta's there. Family eats the regular box of pasta. You just toss in the whatever sauce at the last minute. It's a little bit more work. It's a little bit more dishes, but everybody's happy. You have picky eaters. They're like, I'll never eat whole grain pasta. Great. So you are, but everyone else isn't. Again, I prefer regular pasta, but during a dieting phase, 1 serving is not going to be filling for me. I'm going to be miserable at the end of the day. Or you could skip pasta altogether, but I like pasta. And my wife really likes it. So we generally, and my kids like it. Like everybody likes it. So why get rid of that? Why not just make it work for you? So it's just making those adjustments. And that can slowly, like, you can also like mix in a little bit of the whole grain with the other stuff, or you can get the protein pastas. There's the chickpea one, which is higher in protein. You can use those ones. And find those are not great for leftovers, though. They're very much like make enough. You might not, you might be okay with it for leftovers. I don't like them. So those are more like make just enough for the night, not really any leftovers, versus regular pasta you can use for meal prep. So we do that all the time. So we're just making swaps in our diet. Then we're going to eat in a sustainable weight loss way. We're not going super restrictive. We're going to figure out, again, Mastering Your Macros guide down below, download it, figure it out. But as a rough estimate, whatever your goal weight is, times 11 or times 12. That's a good play, like an easy number to like throw out. It's not super accurate, like plus or minus 10%. But for a better accurate number, I would say actually more like plus or minus 20%, more accurate number, you figure it out through the Mastering Your Macros guide. It's a little bit of a calculation, but that's okay. Or you go onto like calculator.net, you plug your info into a BMR calculator, it just runs the equation and then it spits out your maintenance calories based on your activity level. And then you're going to subtract 300 to 500 from those maintenance calories. Is it a little bit more work? Yes. Is it more accurate so you see results faster? Also, yes. So what's next? Okay. So when we do it this way, we're making swaps, we're making adjustments. We're not really changing too much in our lifestyle, but we're making healthier swaps. Those start to roll over into other areas. You start to see results. Maybe they're not as fast, but okay, now you have a little bit more energy because you're not bloated all the time. You're feeling better because you're actually fueling your body. And then you have more energy to get your steps in. You have more energy to go for walks. You have more energy to work out. You recover from your workouts faster. So you see results in the gym faster. You're able to go to the gym more often if you want. You're able to push it harder in the gym. So that's going to snowball into, okay, I'm pushing it harder. Now I need to get more sleep, or I need to drink more water because I don't want to feel crap for my workout. So it starts to snowball. And when you do it this way, in 3 months, you've changed quite a few habits. and lifestyle changes, but it's just slight tweaks to the ones you already have. And then in 6 months, those habits have continued to change, and your identity starts to change into like, hey, we eat healthier foods. This is not good food, bad food. This is not diet food versus regular food. This is just regular food. And that's a thing a lot of people deal with, is like, we have diet food and we have regular food. Like, if you like burgers and chicken tenders and pasta and pizza, if we can't keep those in there, you're going to crave those. If you can't have a plan with some chocolate or ice cream, cookies or chips, because that's the things you crave, if you can't have a plan with, like, your plan doesn't include those, you're going to crave those. And instead of staying on track, you'll be on track Monday through Thursday. Then all of a sudden Friday night hits, and then that's where it's like you get stuck in like, oh, I'm going to pretend the weekend didn't exist. I fall off every weekend, and you get in this cycle of like good Monday through Thursday, fall off on the weekend, and you just stay stuck. You're not going up in weight, but you're also not going down, and you're putting in a ton of effort. And you're like, why am I doing this? So it's important to have a plan where you can include those things, because you might find over time you were just using those as a negative coping mechanism. You were using those for like stress management and stuff. So you might start to crave them less. You're eating less. You're starting to portion them out. You don't like the one, like maybe it's like cookies, and you no longer need 5 cookies. Maybe 2 does it for you. But that's going to take time. It's not going to be in 30 days, guys. It's going to take time to do that. It's going to take 60, 90, 6 months, a year to really nail those down, which is fine, because a year's a drop in the bucket. Like, if we're talking next year, like next year, you never have to worry about like dieting for summer. Like, isn't that awesome? So we need to start now, though. And you're like, shit, well, I want to get ready for this summer. Okay. You're not going to, this is another thing people kind of think of with their results. They're like, oh, it's going to take so long to see my results. It's like, well, yes and no. To get to your end goal is going to take a while, but all along the way, you're going to see improvements. You're going to change. You're going to get smaller in your clothes if your goal is weight loss. You're going to fill them out more if you're trying to build muscle. So you're going along the way. It's not like you look exactly the same the entire time, and that magically May 3rd, 2025, a genie pops out. It's like, oh, snap. Now you look like a fitness model. No, that doesn't fucking happen. You change along the way. So that's going to continue to help motivate you. And that's a big difference between how most people think about it and how you should be thinking about it. You should be thinking, okay, my end goal is here, but I'm going to see that I'm getting closer and closer along the way. When you keep that mindset, it's like, okay, well, I want to get in shape for this summer. So if I have something in July, well, I have like 2 months. Okay, well, 10 pounds off. Maybe you're not like super comfortable in a bikini, but maybe you're a little bit more comfortable in the swimsuits you already have. Maybe you fit into your old summer clothes from last year or from a couple years ago that you no longer fit into. And you're like, okay, I'm not comfortable getting my shirt off, but I'm comfortable wearing shorts again. I'm comfortable wearing something that's tighter fitting. Awesome. Great. Then continue next year. All of a sudden, okay, now I'm comfortable with this stuff. That's awesome. That's where we want to get to. So we want to, instead of like rushing into something, doing something drastic, regaining the weight and being stuck, and slowly that scale goes up year after year after year. We want to take a second before we jump into something and be smart about it. Be deliberate. Come up with a plan that we can actually follow, actually makes changes, and actually will change our lives in the direction we want to go. If you need help with that, there's the coaching application down below. We have the Elite program, which is one-on-one coaching. If you want to work with me, just let Aaron know. So you will contact Aaron through that. You can always message me on Facebook or Instagram or anything, especially if you have questions about the Master Your Macros guide. You can join our Facebook community and post in there, and we'll get back to you. If you haven't joined already, that's also down below. But if you want to do coaching, that's applications down below for one-on-one coaching or the group coaching offer. So we have the elite coaching. If you want a female coach, Sarah has roster spots open, so you can work with either myself or Sarah. Just let Erin know if you're like dead set on working with me because you're listening to the podcast. You just let Erin know, or let me know, and we'll get you set up. And then for less money, if budget's tight, we have the Prime and Launch program. So that's also down below, and all the explanation. So the website explains pretty much everything there. So if you have any questions on that, you can always reach out to me. But when you click the links before you purchase anything or fill out anything, there's a big old explanation for what those are. So that'll explain most things to you and how they work. But the group coaching program is working really well. The Prime one, which is the one I run, that's what I would recommend for most of you. If you're like, I just need to get started now, that's where I would start. I would not start with necessarily Launch. Launch is good if you're like comfortable and know what you're doing already and just want some monthly support and you want just a workout. That's more what Launch is for. If you're like, I need to start making changes and I need help, go with Elite or Prime. Anyways, that's it today, guys. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and rate the show. Also, download the stuff, get the free stuff. In the Facebook group, too, we post, if you're like, I just need recipes. I just need to know what to eat. Melissa, which is one of the people on Erin's team, posts recipes at least 5 days a week. So you can go in there. There's recipes 5 days a week in there. So if that's what you're looking for, join the Facebook group. Again, that link is down in the show notes.